For decades, scientists have wondered just how much water is really on the moon. It is a question that could change everything, from future lunar bases to deep space travel. But now, NASA is finally sending a mission that could give us a clear answer. Meet Lunar Trailblazer, a small but incredibly powerful spacecraft designed to map the moon's water like never before. This is not just another space mission. It is a game-changer that could unlock the secrets of lunar ice and fuel, the next giant leap for humanity. But why is water on the moon such a big deal? How will Lunar Trailblazer find it? And could this mission be the key to human survival beyond Earth? Stay with us, because what you are about to discover could completely reshape our future in space. For most of history, we believed the moon was nothing more than a barren rock, a dead world with no air, no life, and certainly no water. Astronauts who walked on its surface described a place covered in fine, gray dust, completely dry and lifeless. But what if that assumption was completely wrong? In 2009, something shocking happened. NASA's instruments detected traces of water, not just in deep, shadowy craters, but right on the surface, mixed in with the lunar soil. This discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Water on the moon? How was that even possible? Scientists had long assumed that any water would have been boiled away by the sun's relentless radiation. Yet here it was, hidden in places we never thought to look. This changes everything. If there is water, even in small amounts, it could be the key to a future where humans do not just visit the moon. We stay. Water means drinking supplies, oxygen for breathing, and even fuel for rockets. A lunar colony, once thought to be science fiction, could actually become reality. But the big question remains: how much water is really there? Is it a thin layer spread across the surface, or are there vast hidden reserves waiting to be uncovered? And here is something even more intriguing. If water has been hiding on the moon all this time, what else could be out there waiting to be discovered? Stay with us, because the answer might be even bigger than we ever imagined. NASA's Lunar Trailblazer might be small, but do not let its size fool you. This tiny spacecraft is carrying the power to change everything we know about the moon. Designed to be fast, efficient, and incredibly precise, it is built to do one thing: uncover the true nature of lunar water. Unlike previous missions that only hinted at the presence of water, Lunar Trailblazer will actually map it across the moon's surface in stunning detail. It does this using two advanced instruments. The first is a high-resolution infrared spectrometer, which can detect water molecules by analyzing how they interact with light. The second is a thermal imager that measures heat, helping scientists understand how water behaves in different lunar environments. Together, these tools will paint the clearest picture yet of where lunar water is hiding, how much there is, and whether it is locked inside minerals, frozen in permanent shadow, or spread thinly across the surface. But there is a major challenge. Not everything that looks like water is actually water. Previous detections picked up hydrogen, but that does not always mean H2O. It could be hydroxyl molecules, which are chemically different and far less useful for future astronauts. Lunar Trailblazer will finally solve this mystery by distinguishing between real water and other hydrogen-based compounds, giving us the most accurate lunar water map ever created. And here is the mind-blowing part. This entire mission is packed into a spacecraft no bigger than a suitcase. Yet, despite its small size, it has the potential to reshape the future of lunar exploration. If it finds enough water, it could mean moon bases, deep space fuel stations, and a future where astronauts can live off the land, rather than rely on costly Earth shipments. Lunar Trailblazer is not just another moon mission, it is a game changer. And what it discovers could determine how humanity takes its next giant leap. If the moon has water, where is it hiding? Scientists believe the answer lies in some of the most extreme places in the solar system. Craters at the moon's poles that have never seen sunlight. These deep, shadowy pits are colder than Pluto, and in this eternal darkness, ice could have been trapped for billions of years. Unlike the moon's sunlit surface, where water would instantly evaporate, these craters act like cosmic freezers, preserving ice that might be left over from ancient comet impacts or even formed through interactions with solar wind. But here is where things get even more exciting. Some researchers think water might not just be sitting on the surface. It could be hidden beneath the lunar soil, just like on Mars. If this is true, then astronauts of the future might not need to bring their own water. Instead, they could dig into the regolith, extract ice, and use it for drinking, breathing, or even fueling spacecraft. Imagine a future where moon bases tap into underground reserves, creating the first truly sustainable human presence beyond Earth. Then there is the strange phenomenon of lunar hydration, a mystery that still puzzles scientists. Some spacecraft have detected hints that water might be moving across the moon's surface, appearing and disappearing depending on the time of day. Could tiny amounts of water be forming and migrating, or is there another process at work? Lunar Trailblazer will help solve this puzzle by tracking how water changes over time and pinpointing exactly where it is most concentrated. Now, here is a thought. What if one day astronauts could extract, purify, and drink moon water? Could future lunar explorers rely on the moon itself for survival, instead of depending on costly Earth shipments? If Lunar Trailblazer finds enough water, that future might be closer than we ever imagined. Lunar Trailblazer may be the size of a suitcase, but its technology is anything but small. This spacecraft is packed with cutting-edge instruments designed to find, analyze, and map lunar water with incredible precision. Unlike past missions that only provided hints of water, Lunar Trailblazer will deliver a detailed, high-resolution map showing exactly where water is hiding on the moon. At the heart of this mission are two incredibly powerful instruments. The Lunar Thermal Mapper, LTM, will measure temperature changes across the moon's surface, helping scientists understand where ice can remain stable and where water might be moving. Some regions of the moon swing between blazing heat and extreme cold, but the permanently shadowed craters at the poles remain frigid, making them prime locations for frozen water. LTM will track these temperature shifts, revealing the best places to search for ice. Then, there is the High-Resolution Volatiles and Minerals Mapper, a HVM3, the real game-changer. This instrument will scan the moon in infrared light, allowing it to detect water molecules with pinpoint accuracy. Unlike past sensors, which struggle to tell the difference between water and other hydrogen compounds, HVM3 can distinguish between true H2O and hydroxyl OH molecules. This means scientists will finally know exactly where real, usable water is located, whether it is locked in minerals, trapped in the soil, or forming thin layers on the surface. But here is the challenge. Lunar Trailblazer is a small satellite, yet it is tasked with mapping an entire celestial body. Unlike billion-dollar flagship missions, this spacecraft must work efficiently, collecting vast amounts of data with limited resources. It will orbit the moon in a carefully planned path, scanning key regions while maximizing every second of observation time. And here is the mind-blowing part. Despite its tiny size, Lunar Trailblazer is more advanced than some billion-dollar missions. With state-of-the-art imaging, thermal mapping, and real-time data processing, This small spacecraft could unlock one of the greatest lunar mysteries of all time. If it finds significant water reserves, it could completely change the way we explore the moon and beyond. Finding water on the moon is not just about quenching astronauts' thirst. It could be the key to unlocking humanity's future in space. Water is one of the most valuable resources for space exploration, and if we can extract it from the moon, it could change everything. Here is why. Water is rocket fuel. By splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen, we can create liquid rocket propellant, the same kind that powers spacecraft today. If future missions could refuel on the moon instead of hauling fuel all the way from Earth, space travel would become cheaper, faster, and more sustainable. The moon could serve as a refueling station for deep space missions, making it easier to send astronauts to Mars and beyond. But the potential does not stop there. If water is abundant, the moon could support a permanent human base. Instead of short missions, astronauts could live and work on the lunar surface, using water for drinking, growing food, and generating oxygen. A moon base would be a stepping stone for space exploration, a test bed for new technology, and a gateway for future missions into the solar system. And here is the biggest question of all. Could this be the first step toward colonizing Mars? If we learn how to extract and use lunar resources, we could apply the same techniques to the red planet. Water is already believed to exist beneath Mars's surface, and if we can develop the technology to survive on the moon, a Martian colony might be closer than we ever imagined. So, are we on the verge of becoming an interplanetary species? If Lunar Trailblazer confirms that the moon holds usable water, it could set off a chain reaction leading to sustained space travel, lunar cities, and even human life beyond Earth. The next great leap for humanity might start with a single drop of water on the moon. Lunar Trailblazer is not just about finding water. It is about laying the foundation for the future of space exploration. This mission is a critical part of NASA's Artemis program, which aims to return humans to the moon and establish a long-term presence. Unlike the Apollo missions, which were brief visits, Artemis is about staying, and for that, we need resources. Lunar Trailblazer could help identify exactly where those resources are, guiding future missions to the best locations for landing, mining, and building a sustainable lunar base. But there is an even bigger vision. Imagine moon-based fuel depots, places where rockets could refuel before heading deeper into space. Right now, launching everything from Earth is expensive and inefficient. But if we can extract water from the moon, split it into hydrogen and oxygen, and store it as fuel, space travel could become more affordable and accessible. This would allow Mars missions, asteroid mining, and even interstellar exploration to become a reality much sooner than expected. And here is where things get really exciting. Lunar Trailblazer is not just about the moon. The technology it uses to detect water could be applied to other celestial bodies, like Europa and Titan, moons of Jupiter and Saturn that are believed to hold vast amounts of water beneath their icy surfaces. If we can map water on the moon, what is stopping us from using similar missions to explore alien oceans, hidden lakes, or even life beyond Earth? So here is the final thought. If we can find usable water on the moon, what is stopping us from going even further? The discoveries made by Lunar Trailblazer could be the first step in a much larger journey, one that does not just keep humans on the moon, but propels us toward Mars, the outer solar system, and maybe even beyond. The future of space exploration might just begin with this tiny spacecraft and its search for lunar water. Lunar Trailblazer is set to launch soon, and once it reaches the moon, it will not take long for the data to start coming in. Within months, scientists will begin analyzing detailed maps of lunar water, revealing exactly where it is, how much there is, and whether it is usable for future missions. If the results confirm that the Moon holds significant water reserves, it could change the course of space exploration forever. So, what happens next? NASA's Artemis program is already gearing up for the first crewed lunar landing in over 50 years. If Lunar Trailblazer finds the right locations, future Artemis missions could send astronauts directly to these water-rich areas, testing extraction technologies that could one day support a permanent lunar colony. But NASA is not the only player in this game. Private space companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin are also racing toward the Moon. With ambitious plans for lunar landers, resource extraction, and even moon bases, the discoveries made by Lunar Trailblazer could help shape the future of commercial space travel as well. And here is the big question. Could this be the first step toward a self-sustaining human presence beyond Earth? If Lunar Trailblazer proves that water can be harvested on the Moon, it could open the door to Mars colonization, deep space travel, and even interplanetary civilization. The next few years will be critical, and if you do not want to miss out on the biggest discoveries in space exploration, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. The search for lunar water is just the beginning, and the future of space might be closer than we ever imagined.